Hey guys, it's Stefan. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm gonna go through the Season 8 runes for Diana that includes mid lane, jungle, and top lane, in that order. Most of the runes that I'm going to show you, the two main pages, can be used for both mid lane, jungle, and top lane, but there's always variation as there's a lot of personal preference. So let's get through this. A standard Electrocute page where you take Electrocute. This is the strongest damage keystone for Diana. Sudden Impact gives you just a lot more magic penetration with your R on the Diana ultimate. And this is particularly good considering what the popular builds nowadays are. They include two magic penetration items. I will say, if you're going to play jungle, so in the first row, there is not much use for Taste of Blood or Cheap Shot. The Sudden Impact is just by far the best one. Sudden Impact and Electrocute are arguably the only useful or good runes in this row for Diana. So you can take Eyeball Collection if you want a little bit more AP, but I personally like Zombie Ward a lot. This gives you a lot of extra vision, especially if you put wards into the enemy jungle, like wards that people don't expect you, like some hidden spots that nobody really checks. The Hunter runes can be, it's basically personal preference. The healing one, this adds up through lane phase and everything as such. It's quite good late game as well. The movement speed one helps you roam. If you build Ludens, this stacks it particularly well with Ludens as well. This just makes your roaming insane. Ingenious Hunter is really good for if you want to build Sonyas or Proto Belt or both. It's particularly good with those, especially Sonyas. We're going to be seeing a lot of Sonyas this season, I think. There's a lot of high damage 1v1 champions or team fighting champions, like things we can dodge with Sonya's that are quite important. So for the secondary page, we go for sorcery. You can also go resolve. I'll talk about that in just a second. Mana Flow Band is getting changed next patch, most likely. It will still be the go-to. It gives you a lot of lane presence and just gives you overall pushing power. Scorch is really good for lane. It gives you a lot of extra poke. It sums up to roughly 1000 damage per game, which doesn't seem that much, but remember, this is a minor rune. 1000 damage is maybe half of what Sudden Impact does, which is not bad considering that most of this will occur during laning phase. You can, if you don't want to run with Scorch, you can go with Celerity, or you can go with Transcendence. Both are completely viable. You can also take Nullifying Orb into difficult matchups, such as LeBlanc, Syndra. Those are the ones that come to mind. Maybe even Fizz a little bit. Those really difficult mid lane matchups that can actually kill you. This can be taken as a mini Hex Drinker, but the Mana Flow Band is definitely really good for the mana, the extra pushing power. So if you don't want to take Celerity, you can go Scorch as this. Celerity is really good. It lets you roam. It just gets you to lane faster. It lets you keep up to people. And especially if you build Ludens, again, which is quite a decently popular item at the moment. It just synergizes really well. It gives you bonus movement speed and makes your movement speed give you AP as well, which is just fantastic. So you can also run Resolve with either Iron Skin and Mirror Shell into Second Wind. So into this, Mirror Shell or Iron Skin have great synergy with our W. Second Wind is really good for, it's basically a free Doran shield in lane, which is nothing to laugh at. That is quite good. So let's remember that one. So generally, back to that, a general Diana page. If you want one that can do anything, can jungle and everything, this page. However, if you want to play Diana jungle, you can run the same thing. And I'm going to give a little honorable mention to Dark Harvest. You can play it for mid lane as well. It outscales Electrocute if we were to play a 40 or 50 minute game. It has a bigger snowball impact, but it gives you no power early game or at level 6 whatsoever, where a lot of games for Diana are decided at that level, level 6, level 11. Those two power spikes in her ultimate. So you can, if you want to have a higher snowball impact, Dark Harvest can help, but Electrocute's going to actually let you snowball. It's overall the more consistent one, which is why I'm going to recommend Electrocute over Dark Harvest. So that's our Electrocute Assassin page. So there's another page that has been quite popular in Korea. I forgot to mention, if we go back up here, we go back to our Electrocute page. One thing I forgot to mention, if you're doing Jungle Diana, you most likely don't need Mana Flow Band, so I would actually suggest doing this setup right here. Get the extra movement speed on our Hunter, get the celerity for more movement speed, and Scorch for a little bit more early damage, which like might make it help you in the like early game if you get invaded or try to go for an early gank. This gives you a little bit extra power on top of your Electrocute, which does a lot of damage early game. So that's the jungle one, let's remember that. So then there's another page that has been quite popular around Korea especially, which is this one. This has been quite popular. And the reason for it is that Phase Rush gets you out of sticky situations. Yeah, so you take when you take Resolve Secondary, you get 10 AP and 65 health, which also Second Wind, it gives you an easier lane phase, basically. That's what I'm trying to say here. So you have the Scorch for the lane power, it gives you a little bit more damage. You have Celerity for the roam power. You can swap this to Transcendence if you wish, but I would say Celerity is probably better. Gathering Storm, I forgot to mention this earlier. This rune sees no effect really, because we're not in a late game meta. We're in an early game snowball meta where Gathering Storm will barely ever be worthwhile. Again, same rule here. If you're against a difficult matchup, you can swap your mana band over to Nullifying Orb to absorb a little bit extra damage against those AP champions. So Phase Rush gets us out of sticky situations, helps us keep up with people. It's got great synergy with Celerity. It's got a very low cooldown compared to a lot, and this can proc from everything. So in comparison to Storm Raider Surge, which I know a lot of people like, Storm Raider Surge was a little bit harder to proc in the early game. This just needs QWE or QW Auto, QWR. And that procs this, which is really good, and the slow resistance is really good to get yourself out of those bad situations. Again, with a secondary, we go for either Iron Skin or Mirror Shell, depending on the matchup. If you're against an AD jungler and an AD mid laner, you can go Iron Skin. And Second Wind if you're... well, Second Wind's really good just so you can sustain through lane phase. Another thing, you can also go with Sudden Impact and Relentless Hunter if you would like. I still feel like if you're going to play this this tree, you're going to want to go a little bit more defensive in the second one, and the third one. Again, if you want to do jungle, you can take either Ultimate Hat or Nullifying Orb instead of Mana Flow Band. I don't actually mind Mana Flow Band that much in the jungle. It's actually quite good. So, yeah, I would suggest that one. So, those are the jungle and mid lane runes. Airy, you can do Airy if you want to do the Rod of Ages and Asher's build. Airy is fine if you're doing that build. I just don't think that build is particularly good right now. And the reason for it is that we're, again, in the snowbally early game meta. So, yeah. One more page, which is the top lane cheese page a little bit. Taking Aftershock. This makes you incredibly tanky. Does a little bit of damage. And in early game, this actually has the same cooldown as our E. And this gives you flat armor and magic resistance, plus 30%. This synergy is great with our W on Iron Skin and Mirror Shell. We take Demolish just to kill towers a little bit quicker. This is basically, this lets you fight the bruisers basically on Diana. This does. It does. It really does. You can also take Overgrowth instead of Second Wind. I just feel like Second Wind is better. And in your secondary, you're gonna need Mana Flow Band to make use of Aftershock, because you're using your E a lot, which costs a lot of mana. And then you have the usual Scorch, which you can swap into either Transcendence or Celerity if you wish. So, those are the runes. If you have any questions about them, feel free to let me know. And yeah, I hope it helped, and good luck in Season 8 playing our Lunar Goddess. Peace out, guys.